Hey guys, what's up? It's just Connor here. I hope you're having an amazing day as per usual. Today, I've written out what I'm going to write so it doesn't look like you've come to Connor's terrible art class. Today, we're going to be talking about what I like to call the third grade math. We're going to be talking about what is it, how does it work, and why do you need to know about it. Now, I would have either released a video that I filmed this week before this one or after this one, but more particularly, there's a video that I will release this week, or already have released, talking about the skill of screening and why it's so important to your success in high ticket sales as a career in general. Right? Third grade math basically is the ability to sift through what is the real on target earnings, what's the truth, not is what just is advertised. If you've been in sales in the past, in traditional sales, or looking into high ticket sales, you may have been familiar with someone who's talked about, you can make 10, 15K per month. We'll enable you to do that. But then you get in and it is nothing close to that, right? So you need to effectively work out a system to where you can work out what I like to call the third grade math of basically keeping this simple. And the important goal of this is keeping the simplicity so that you actually do it on every offer that you go and work with, right? So long story short, a really important statistic that you should know is that 80% of coaching businesses aren't successful over 2+ years. So we need to have the skills and the right question frameworks to ask to find those businesses, the 20% that last longer than 2 years, right? That's where we need to be. So I've mapped out a bit of a framework for you guys to use as an example to start plugging in some numbers so you can start figuring out this and the actual truth and reality of things rather than the inflated marketing numbers that these business owners are giving you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, the categories of questions that you can ask in a screening process on an interview, post-interview, pre-interview, on the interview, fall into these categories. You've got soft, you've got operations, you've got stats, you've got pre-interview, you've got on-interview, you've got scalability and future questions, you've got negotiable questions. These are the surrounding variables that matter, but more specifically, the thing that we're talking about is these two here, pre-interview and on-interview, right? If you're inexperienced or you're very new to this industry, it's going to be very uncommon that you would know what to ask, what to look for, and what are the numbers that you typically need to see in a good offer or opportunity. So let's run through some of the questions you can ask on your next interview so you can be a little bit more prepared so that you can find an offer that actually has the truth behind what they're speaking on the on-target earnings, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in. So calls booked, what is that, right? These are calls booked in the calendar. The company has put out advertising and they've booked calls in the calendar. Simple to understand. Show rate. Show rate is literally if we have 100 people booked in our calendar and 75% come to the calls, that is what we will class as a show rate. Close rate, super simple to explain. Close rate, offers versus booked. Now, I don't really like to have this part here of offers versus booked. I just like to go off of booked. But there are some people out there that are a little bit wimpy and like to use their ego to cover up with offers, right? But essentially the difference between the two is, let's say that 100 sales calls were had and only 60 of them you offered basically to them. And let's say you close 100% of them. That would mean it's 60% booked to offer and then 100% offer to close. Hopefully that makes sense. So most cases you need to differentiate the difference between the two. Maybe they just have booked if they're good salespeople and good sales teams, but if they've got offers, usually I tend to find that they just use this number to protect their ego and their close rate, right? So important to know the difference between the two. Cash collection rate, right? What that means to you is that, let's say that the business brings in 100,000 per month in new revenue, right? So 100K, right? Basically, cash collection rate means, let's say that we collect 50% of that, right? Let's say that from our cash collection, right? We're only collecting in the bank 50% of that, but we've generated 100,000 in new business revenue, right? I'm not even going to try, guys. This is just not going to happen. That just basically means the total amount of cash that's basically collected in the bank. And then current closes, making very self-explanatory. What is the current salesperson making? Now, how many close? Simple, and simple, right? What's the best performers on the team? What are they making? What are they doing, right? But more importantly, what are they making? And so matching this up to the statistics that they've given you is always going to be good. Reverting back to third grade math, if you have enough of these numbers, and if you have all of these numbers and then some more, you can find out the real, genuine numbers behind what's actually going on here. Now, I would like to give you some general standardized statistics that would be good for like these different KPIs. However, it's going to be really hard because these percentages will significantly change from industry to industry. Some industries show a rate of like 30% can be fantastic. Some industries, it's going to be X, right? Generally, like a really good show rate for a company would be around the 75% range. Like that's pretty good. 80% is fantastic. 60% in the coaching industry, in my opinion, is okay, right? Because there's a lot for improvement. And then the 65% to 70 is like doing decently well, but like 75% is pretty much perfect. That's pretty much exactly where you want to be, right? Calls booked, again, you're going to have to understand like what is the type of call volume that you want to have for yourself on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. How many hours do you want to work? How much money do you want to make? Again, their close rate. Like what this number will tell you is like how vetted is their sales process? How good is their sales process? Cash collection rate, this is really important to understand. Most people that are new to this industry don't actually understand that you're most commonly paid 99.9% of the time, not on all the sales you make directly and proportionally, but you're paid on the cash collected you bring to the table. So if you bring in $100,000 in new revenue, but only 50% ends up going to the business, if you're making 10%, you will only collect 5K in commissions, right? That's super important to understand. But a lot of people have this misperceived conception that like, oh, if I bring in 100 grand, I get 10 grand. Not true, right? You have to collect the money to get paid first. Now, the important thing to know what the current closers are making is so that, again, you have somewhat of an understanding of what the benchmark is. Average closers, bottom closers, and high performers. Because if you know that 20K a month is possible on the offer, well then, you know it's possible, right? Whereas like a lot of people like to go in offers where they don't even ask the question what the current closers are making, and the top closer there is making 3K a month, right? So it's really important to know these statistics. But once you understand how to actually make your calculations from these statistics, you're actually going to get a real on-target earnings. And why that's so important is because if you go into a company expecting you're going to make such and such and such, it's going to actually prevent you from getting to your financial goals a lot longer than it could have if you just actually picked the right offer in the first place. Because if an on-target earnings is actually in reality truth 5K and you want to make 15K, well, it's less than ideal. Let's put it that way. Okay. So this is what I call the third grade math, guys. There's more than a few questions that, again, bridge off these ones here. But these are just some basic ones you can go ahead and use in your next interview to go ahead and ask the business owner or the offer owner. So you can start actually working out, cool, so they booked this amount of calls. This is the show rate. This is how many they close. This is average cash collection rate. So you can actually do some math and find out if the numbers they're telling you is actually true. So that's it for this one, guys. Please let me know in the comment section or on Instagram if you're enjoying these videos, more practical, more visual explanation videos to really have something tangible that you can take away. If you want me to keep doing them, I will. If you don't, then I won't. But again, let me know if you're finding value in these and I will continue making them. You guys decide the direction of this channel and what you guys want to see. That's the whole reason I'm making these videos in the first place. So hopefully you got some insights from that one. Hopefully you learned something, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.